Most people would never think twice about a tiny 10-cent coin, yet some Roosevelt dimes have quietly shattered auction records and sold for prices that rival luxury homes. Hidden among millions of ordinary dimes used every day are a few rare pieces so elusive that they completely changed how collectors view modern American coins. To understand how this happened, we must go back to 1946. The year the Roosevelt dime was introduced to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt shortly after his death. This new design replaced the Mercury dime and marked a turning point in United States coin history. Combining mass production with deep public emotion, Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and World War II made him one of the most respected figures in American history, and his personal struggle with polio inspired the March of Dimes, giving the 10-cent coin powerful symbolic meaning beyond its face value. Early Roosevelt dimes were struck using 90% silver. Following the long tradition of precious metal coinage in the United States, although mintages were extremely high, quality control focused on speed rather than perfection. Dies were often used longer than ideal, strikes were frequently weak, and contact marks were common. At the time, no one imagined that collectors would one day examine these coins under magnification. Decades later, these production realities created an unexpected scarcity of high-grade examples. Coins from mints such as San Francisco and Denver proved especially difficult to find in pristine condition, laying the foundation for future record-breaking prices once grading standards became more precise. Asterisk. The true transformation of the Roosevelt dime began when professional grading services emerged and standardized coin evaluation. Collectors were shocked when population reports revealed that only a tiny number of Roosevelt dimes could achieve the highest grades. Coins that once circulated freely suddenly became condition rarities. As collectors competed for the finest known examples, prices rose dramatically. What had once been dismissed as common modern coinage began commanding respect within elite numismatic circles, proving that rarity was not only about age or metal content, but also about survival and exceptional condition. The Roosevelt dime's reputation changed forever with the expelled discovery of the 1975 no-S proof dime. Every proof dime that year was supposed to carry the San Francisco mint mark, yet at least 2 examples were discovered without it. These coins were never meant to exist. Their discovery sparked intense debate, authentication, scrutiny, and worldwide attention. When confirmed genuine, these dimes shattered expectations, selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. They proved that even in the modern era, minting errors could create legendary rarities capable of rewriting price records. Asterisk. The 1975 no-S dime permanently altered how collectors viewed modern proof coins. It demonstrated that strict quality control did not eliminate the possibility of historic mistakes. This discovery encouraged collectors to re-examine modern coinage with fresh eyes. Roosevelt dimes were no longer pocket change. They became symbols of hidden opportunity, showing that knowledge and attention to detail could uncover extraordinary value in the most ordinary places. Another major turning point arrived in 1965, when the United States removed silver from circulating dimes and replaced it with copper-nickel-clad compositions. Rising silver prices made precious metal coinage unsustainable, and this decision marked the end of an era. During the transition, rare mistakes occurred, including silver planchette strikes dated after silver was officially discontinued. These coins technically should not exist, yet a few escaped detection. Their discovery reinforced the idea that Roosevelt dimes could still produce extraordinary rarities long after silver disappeared. From everyday use, the early clad Roosevelt dimes were widely ignored for years because they lacked silver content and were produced in massive quantities. However, collectors later realized that early clad production suffered from inconsistent quality. Weak strikes, die wear, and poor surface preservation meant that high-grade circulation examples were far rarer than expected. As grading populations grew, it became clear that pristine, early-clad Roosevelt dimes were extremely difficult to locate. Setting the stage for surprising auction records, proof coin production resumed in 1968 after a brief suspension, with manufacturing moved back to the San Francisco Mint. The goal was to produce superior collector coins. but early proof quality was inconsistent. Variations in die polishing and strike pressure resulted in dramatic differences in appearance. These early proof Roosevelt dimes became a testing ground for modern minting techniques, unintentionally creating new forms of scarcity that collectors would later prize, as collectors examined proof Roosevelt dimes more closely. Cameo contrast emerged as a defining factor of value. Coins with strong frosted devices and mirrored fields stood out dramatically. Achieving this contrast consistently proved difficult during the early proof years. Only a small percentage displayed deep, uninterrupted cameo contrast. When grading services formalized cameo and deep cameo designations, competition intensified and prices surged, transforming visual quality into one of the most powerful drivers of value. Certain proof Roosevelt dimes from 1968s, 1969s, and 1970s achieved astonishing auction results simply because they combined flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and strong cameo contrast. These coins were never intentionally rare, yet minting realities made them scarce. Their record-breaking prices shocked collectors and proved that modern coins could rival much older issues in desirability and prestige. As attention intensified, proof mint errors within the Roosevelt dime series began gaining serious recognition. Missing mint marks, repunched mint marks, doubled dies, and striking anomalies were once dismissed as minor curiosities. Over time, collectors realized these errors represented a powerful contradiction. Proof coins were meant to represent perfection, so any flaw instantly became dramatic and desirable. When such errors appeared on high-grade proofs, rarity multiplied and demand surged, pushing prices to new record levels. Registry-set competition transformed the Roosevelt dime into a battlefield of prestige and precision. Collectors no longer wanted just an example of each date. They wanted the single finest known coin available. A difference of one grading point or a stronger cameo designation could result in massive price jumps. Coins that looked nearly identical to the untrained eye suddenly carried vastly different values. Driven by competitive psychology and limited population data, while proof coins dominated headlines, circulation strike Roosevelt dimes quietly gained attention. High-grade circulation examples from the late 1960s and early 1970s were exceptionally rare due to heavy production and everyday use. When unusually sharp, clean examples surfaced, collectors took notice. These coins shattered expectations and auction records, proving that circulation strikes could rival proofs in value when condition rarity aligned perfectly. This era also produced transitional and experimental strikes as the United States Mint refined clad compositions and die materials. Coins with unusual textures, weak or excessive strikes, and planchet anomalies occasionally escaped detection. These pieces were not recognized at the time, but later became prized discoveries. Their existence reinforced the idea that Roosevelt dimes were far more complex than their simple design suggested. As collectors and researchers combined mint records, die studies, and population data, the narrative surrounding Roosevelt dimes changed forever. What was once seen as ordinary pocket change became a sophisticated field of study. Knowledge, timing, and attention to detail proved capable of unlocking extraordinary value. Roosevelt dimes were no longer overlooked. They were recognized as a modern series with deep historical and financial significance.